Hey, what's up guys? It's Enigma Hood, and this is going to be kind of like an informal review of Jurassic World. I saw it yesterday, and I loved it. I thought it was a great movie. I've been looking forward to this movie ever since it was announced. Actually, I've been looking forward to this movie ever since Jurassic Park 3 ended. There's been so many rumors about Jurassic Park 4. It's been in development hell for so long. And, we were just waiting, anticipating this movie for over a decade. I believe Jurassic Park 3 came out in 2001. So it's been over a decade before we actually got Jurassic Park 4 finally. But actually, in a lot of ways, it's a good thing that they waited so long, because they took their time with it. It went through a whole bunch of different scripts, including one script that had human-dinosaur hybrids, which would have been a huge disaster. But I noticed recently that movies that have sequels that come out many years after the fact tend to have a lot more care and quality put into it. Movies like Rambo, for example. Compare the quality of Rambo, which I believe is like Rambo 6 technically or whatever, compared to Rambo, is it 5? Man, I'm confused now. I think it was Rambo 5. That was the one after the Soviet Union guy fight. I'm gonna have to digress though, but the point I'm making is that movies that are made, another example would be Predators compared to, Predator 2. That's kind of a weak example because I like Predator 2, but you kind of get what I'm saying here. Movies that, that have a sequel that are made significantly after the fact tend to be a lot better, and Jurassic World is a shining example of this. It was a great movie. There's a couple of discussion points that I want to bring up here. Now, the scientific accuracy. A lot of scientists, paleontologists, were criticizing the scientific accuracy of Jurassic World. Honestly, it's a movie. Now, it is true that the original Jurassic Park was, it introduced the whole idea of dinosaurs being more closely related to birds than to reptiles. It introduced that to the public audience for the first time, and that was a big step forward in helping educate the unwashed masses, so to speak. Jurassic Park was a great movie to be that vehicle, and some people have been criticizing Jurassic World for not being true to the original in that sense, because it is highly inaccurate in the sense that, we just learned so much more about dinosaurs since the 90s. We now know that many dinosaurs, if not all of them, had feathers. They were completely covered in feathers and probably looked more similar to giant birds with teeth than they did to reptiles. Honestly, I don't really care. It's a movie. If they suddenly started introducing feathers, it would have been inconsistent with the canon of the movie. They already established that these animals look the way they do. That they don't have feathers. They have pebbly, leathery skin, kind of scaly skin. And if they suddenly introduced feathers, it just wouldn't make any sense. There's no explanation they could shoehorn in to rationalize that. But actually, in the movie, they do introduce a small plot detail spoken by Dr. Wu, who explains that, ever since the beginning, they have been splicing in DNA from other animals, in particular frog DNA, and as a result, the animals, the phenotype looks different than how they actually were. These were never how dinosaurs actually looked. This is the result of their genetic manipulation of the animals. And by the way, that explanation by Dr. Wu was directly lifted from the original Jurassic Park novel written by Michael Crichton. That explanation never got put into the original Jurassic Park movie, but they put it into this movie, which I really liked. In the original novel, which is probably my second favorite novel of all time, or maybe third favorite, Dr. Wu was talking to John Hammond about improving dinosaurs, because the dinosaurs are too dangerous. Dr. Wu was talking about how they could genetically manipulate the dinosaurs and create a new batch of dinosaurs that are more docile, that are slower, that are easier to handle. And John Hammond, he rejected it, saying, "No, we have real dinosaurs now. We don't want it. We want to give the people what they want, and what they want is real dinosaurs." And Dr. Wu counters that by saying, "Actually, no. These aren't actually real dinosaurs. We have been manipulating their genome, inserting DNA from other animals, like frogs, into their DNA. So we can never capture what existed in the past. The past is gone. All we can do is attempt to recreate something from the past. Because people don't really care about realism. People care about their expectations." And the fact of the matter is, it's so eloquent because in real life, people don't want to see feathered dinosaurs. No one wants to see a Tyrannosaurus Rex covered in dinosaurs, covered in feathers, except for maybe me. They want to see what they expect, and what they expect to see is how the Tyrannosaurus Rex is classically depicted, covered in leathery, pebbly skin. The other scientific inaccuracy that I'm just going to briefly mention is the Mosasaurus size. When I first saw that, I immediately knew that this animal could not possibly be that big. And there have been fans that did scaling for the animal and determined that the way it's depicted in the movie is it's actually the size of a blue whale. In fact, it might even be larger than a blue whale, which is impossible because the blue whale is the largest animal to have ever existed. So the Mosasaurus is, we could use an in-universe explanation for that and just say, they genetically modified it to be larger. But my rebuttal to the people who are complaining about the scientific inaccuracy is that it's a movie, it's not a documentary. And we watch movies to be entertained, and to steal a line from the novel, we want to see our expectations, we don't want to see realism. Okay, so for the actual story, I loved it. It was filled with action. I thought that the chemistry with the main actors, the woman whose name I can't remember, and the hunter dude or whatever he's called, the raptor trainer dude, those were good picks for actors. I'll just briefly mention, because I know Zach's tour will appreciate me bringing this up. That guy. He hunts coyotes in real life, and that really depressed me when I learned that. I forgot his name. What's his name? I would have to look it up. It's not important. But that guy. It turns out in real life, he might be a nice guy. I really don't know, but it turns out that he hunts coyotes, and that really depressed me. But all I can say is that in the movie, before I learned that, he did a good job. What I didn't like, though, the teenage kid. He was just annoying, he was just super horny, he's always looking at girls, he had kind of like a bored expression the entire time, and it's like he's just like always pissed off. You're in like the greatest place in the world, a dinosaur theme park, and you're just super bored. But he did kind of open up and kind of lighten up once the Mosasaurus attraction started, and he was splashed with water, and then he was like, yeah, you know what, I'm kind of digging this after all, I kind of like that, but overall I didn't like his character. I did like the little kid, though. The little kid represents the target audience for this movie. Even though it's PG-13, that the target audience are little kids. And I watched Jurassic Park, the first movie, when I was a little kid, when I was in 4th grade, just like everyone else. I went to see this movie. I wanted to see this movie in the middle of the day, on a weekday, because I didn't want it to be super crowded. But despite that, it was still fairly crowded in there. I mean, moderately crowded considering the time I went to see it. And the vast majority of the people there were little kids, and they were all well behaved, and I was appreciative of that because they wanted to see the movie as much as I did. And that little kid in the movie represents those kids, and it's an essential facet of Jurassic Park movies to have a little kid protagonist who represents the viewer. And one of the arguments that my family made when we first saw the original Jurassic Park is that the kids represent a more vulnerable character. You know, the audience wants to see this character survive until the end. So I like the little kid. The British girl, the kind of nanny or whatever, the babysitter type character, whatever. I thought she was really underdeveloped. I thought there was more potential for her to be more involved in the movie, but you know, she was underdeveloped, and then they killed her off in like a ridiculous way. The most hilariously ridiculous way. I guess, you know, I didn't really think she deserved to die in such a over-the-top fashion, but, well, you know, she did. I thought they could have developed her a little bit more. Moving on, there was a concept of weaponizing dinosaurs in this movie, which we kind of got an impression of when we saw the trailers and we saw the raptors running alongside the hunter dude, whatever his name is. You know, I question how effective dinosaurs would be in real life. You know, like if we're gonna go back to the realism thing, you know, I will say that this movie, believe it or not, is the first Jurassic Park movie to show what happens when you shoot a dinosaur. Like in all the other movies, they're either like tasering the dinosaur or they shoot the dinosaur, but it happens off screen and you don't see the reaction. You don't see what actually happens when they're shot, whether these weapons are even effective or not. I mean, the fact of the matter is, like, dinosaurs are animals. So if they're shot with a rifle, I would fully expect them to die just like you would shoot any other animal. You know, no different than any other African animal. You know, obviously a Tyrannosaurus Rex would be harder to bring down, but a Velociraptor, well, first of all, in real life, they're the size of chickens, right? But let's say Deinonychus, or maybe Utah Raptor. I would say if you shoot them in the head with a rifle, high-powered rifle, it would go down. I'm just guessing. I don't believe they are bulletproof, but in this movie, this is the first time we actually see what happens when you shoot a dinosaur with a gun. And they're basically bulletproof. I mean, like, you know, the movie takes the unrealism to kind of new levels to show that, yeah, you know what, they were terrorizing these movies for so long. Here's why, because they're actually bulletproof. And at least the Indominus Rex is basically bulletproof. So in that sense, yeah, I guess they would make good weapons if you could control them. However, the question is, would they be effective weapons in real life? No, I don't think so. I don't think they would be any more effective than any extant animal today. If you could control like a lion or a tiger, I don't think that a velociraptor, as it's depicted, would be any more effective. But that's just my opinion. I'm assuming so. I could be wrong about that. Okay, the fight at the end. It was unbelievably unrealistic to see that, like, in real life, we know animals don't go looking for a fight unnecessarily. Most of the time, they avoid fighting, okay? Because they are living for survival. They're living day to day. They might not even have a meal on a given day. They're not going to risk their lives fighting unnecessarily. So it was unbelievably unrealistic, but it was unbelievably awesome. It was fan service, I believe, for the kids. You know, just like the ending of Jurassic Park 1 when you see the Tyrannosaurus Rex killing the raptors, it became the hero of the movie, right? That's what Spielberg said. Originally, that's not what was supposed to happen. The raptors were supposed to be killed in some kind of mundane way, you know, having, like, the skeleton fall on top of them, which actually did make it into the Sega Genesis game, by the way. No, that would have been too boring. You gotta have it over the top and awesome. In this case, they had the Tyrannosaurus, and they had the Velociraptor Blue, and then they had the fucking Mosasaurus come in at the end. So 3 animals on one. You know, it was just so over the top, and it's pure fan service for the kids, and also adult fans like me. You know, it doesn't matter that it's unrealistic. What matters is that's awesome. As for the sequels, what I want to see is, you know, at this point they did set up this movie to have sequels, and it's pretty obvious that they're gonna have sequels. It has to be a departure from the usual formula of just, okay, we're gonna have a park and the animals are gonna escape. You know, they can't do that anymore. In fact, I was kind of disappointed in some ways that this movie was that concept. You know, it was just, okay, we have a park and then the dinosaurs are going to escape. It was the same exact formula from the first movie. They need to move away from that into something else. The humans need to be the enemy, you know, like they already kind of set up, hey, we got bad guy humans here. You know, InGen has clearly gone corrupt and it's being run by the bad guys, so they are the bad guys. They explored this concept more in The Lost World, the novel, with the humans being the bad guys. Actually, Dodson was the main villain in the Lost World novel. It's interesting because after Jurassic Park 1, Dodson was never seen again in the movies. I don't know, maybe it could be interesting if he reappears in Jurassic World 2 as the new villain. You know, and maybe he wants to weaponize dinosaurs, you know, because that's like the only option at this point. Weaponizing dinosaurs, because obviously you can't have another park. Hey, you know, we just had a huge disaster at Jurassic World. It's going to be shut down, but we're going to make it again. You know, I'm not sure if Lost World and JP3 are canon in this timeline. I heard that Jurassic World completely ignores those sequels, but I'm not really sure. Certainly in the movie, it makes no mention to any of that stuff. So it's conceivable, but that those events never happened. But certainly we can say they're not going to make another theme park. So there has to be some other angle here. And I think, you know, human beings being the enemy and weaponizing the dinosaurs could be a concept that they could explore. Human-dinosaur hybrids, you know, I would try to avoid that. You know, try and make the dinosaurs cool on their own. They don't need to become these fucking mutants, abominations. You know, I think it's possible to, because they're so over the top and powerful as they are right now. I mean, they're damn near bulletproof. So, you know, they can stick with just regular old dinosaurs instead of human hybrids. So that's all I gotta say. It's a great movie. Don't expect, you know, any kind of deep philosophical meaning of life shit in this movie. It is a pure action, pure fun movie. You know, it has great characters. I thought the Indian guy I thought he did a great job. I was actually sad that he died. I kind of liked how, you know, he was more likable than some of the other characters. And, you know, that's what you really need. You need likable characters, just like the original Jurassic Park. And I think that's what, you know, kind of lacked in Lost World. You know, you didn't like anyone. They're all fucking idiots in Lost World. But this one, yeah, it has likable characters, has tons of action, great special effects. You know, just don't expect, you know, any kind of like, and that's the thing that annoys me about some of these reviews online when they criticize it. You know, they're expecting it to be something that Jurassic Park is not about. So, anyway, definitely watch this movie, guys. This is Enigma Hood signing off.